talking a $10 million bond of a roof that's not going to be started for another year and a half or some money tomorrow to put in our general fund at the taxpayer's expense. There's a lot of interest that's going to accrue and incur from the taxpayers of this town for that kind of money. And why does it have to sit in a general fund for $10 million? We bonded now for a project we can't start until next summer.
I'd like to clarify something because this has just been taken out of context. First of all, the amount of money that's being asked for the roofs themselves, okay, is $3,077,000. Okay. The reason why we came up with these roofs is because whenever I called the state, we found out that any roofs over 20 years old, they start failing. Some of these roofs are more than 20 years old, they're 25 years old. And with no questions asked, the state will reimburse us 67.8%. So it would be foolish not to take advantage of that because this $3 million projects for the roofs alone will only cost the town $1 million. Okay? So between these two projects of the photovoltaic and the roofs, the town will only end up bonding under $3 million, $2.2 million, and there will be a return of 4 to 5 years on our investment.
Why do we have to bond $10 million tonight?
We don't have to bond it. What happens is, in order to file the EDO 49 with the state, because it has to be a deadline by June 30th, otherwise you have to wait a whole new year. We're doing this tonight, but you don't bond a penny of this. You're never going to bond $9 million because the state reimburses as you go. So in other words, let's say you're doing a roof for Ferrara School, and it's $500,000. You send your bills as you go, and the state will actually reimburse you, as you go at that percentage rate, and then you only bond the difference. However, you have to. This is the way you have to do it in order to get the process going and get the EDO 49, approved by the state.
Dan McCann, 137 Mansfield Grove Road. Just with the reimbursement, is there a guaranteed reimbursement from the state, or is it like the
roofs? Yes, there's a guaranteed reimbursement.
Let me just finish one second.
Sure.
Is it guaranteed if there's a state deficit or any kind of problem with the state? So that's just guaranteed funds coming back no matter what.
Funds coming back no matter what.
Is that a contract that's signed with the state?
It's just like when we built the high school. We had a reimbursement rate then, and every year sometime it changes, depending on per capita income and everything else of the city.
Okay.
Our reimbursement rate right now is 67.8%. That might change in the future. I don't know. But right now that's our reimbursement rate. Last I talked to the state. Even if you were to build a new high school or a new school, that's our construction reimbursement rate right now.
Okay. Is that tied into also the solar panels? Or
No.
that's separate?
The way the solar panel works is that you have, let's say it's $5 million, talking round numbers. The Connecticut Energy Fund gives you a certain percentage based on kilowatts. And that number comes off. So now let's say that's $1 million. Well, let's say that's $2 million. Now it's $3 million that you owe, right? The difference between that $3 million, you get 67.8 reimbursement from the state building fund, and the difference is what you're actually going to bond. So that's how it works. And before, it used to work a little differently. Now they actually reimburse you as you go, so you don't even have the strain on the town of paying a lot of interest on the portion that the state also covers.
We're locked into that 68% reimbursement?
This year, that's what that rate is, but it might change in the future depending on, per capita and depending on other factors
And
at the state level.
How would that be calculated? As far as how much is left of the project which isn't completed? Or?
The portion, so in other words, you take a total project, you
Right.
multiply by 68%, say,
Okay.
and that's the amount that you get reimbursed. So on $1 million, you will get $680,000
Okay.
in cold cash. And then the difference is what you will bond, which will be the
Right.
$300,000.
So we get that money right now?
No, once reimbursed as the project goes on.
Okay.
So as the contractor is actually doing the work,
Because
we
the
will
bills
submit-
come in, they give you 68%.
Exactly.
So if this thing was done in a year and the rate was 68.7 next year, that's what we would get.
yes, once you get
On the
approved,
whole amount that we spent.
yes, once you get approved and they okay it, this is the rate you will get. Even if it will change next year, you will still get locked in at the rate that you have currently.
Two questions. I'm a little confused on the bonding issue. On this $9,525,000, we're approving to bond that, and then we have to pay that back, or we're not bonding that much? I'm confused on that, because that's a big amount.
Councilman, it is confusing. Try to explain it because it's been explained to me by the finance director, so I'm gonna, and I've got it in layman's terms, which I think is easiest for us all to understand instead of finance speak.
You don't want him to speak? Let's Paul tell us.
Fine, okay.
Tell us how, because I don't understand it either, because anytime we've ever bonded anything, right, we've always bonded the amount we needed. And never looked to get money back and then put it back. Where's the money go when we get it back? Does it go back into the general fund? Which, like, all money goes back into the general fund.
Because you never got any state grants before, that's the
Well, we've
problem.
got state grants. We've got state grants. We've done,
All right. Okay, the state requires that we bond the total cost of the project with state grants. The total cost of the
Not the
project,
state grants, we're bonding money.
no, when you're getting a state grant, the state requires that you bond the total cost of the project.
Yeah, but you said with state grants.
Yes, we are involved in a state grant here.
We're not
This is-
bonding the total amount with state grants.
Let me,
Okay, go ahead.
let me go. This way. The state requires that with a bond issue, or, now I'm confused. The state requires that with a state grant, when you are receiving a state grant of this type for school construction, this is what it is, that you bond the total cost of the project, without considering in the bond issue what they will reimburse you, okay? Now, as you go along, as the bills come in from the contractor, so to speak, the state is paying their 67.86% on those bills, okay? So you're only putting out the remainder, the 30, I'm sorry, the roughly 32% to, that's what the town will be paying out. So in the end, we will have only paid out roughly 2.2 million. They require you to set up the ordinance to bond for the entire amount. But when the project is said and done, at the end, we will have only borrowed the portion minus the reimbursement.
That was my, yeah. So
Maybe
we're
it was
not,
layman's terms.
we're not actually bonding the 9 million.
Correct.
The taxpayers don't have to pay back 9,200,000.
Correct.
Okay.
Absolutely, yes.
2 million change.
Yeah,
That's it.
2.2 roughly.
Now, the second part of my question, can we split this project if we didn't go with the solar panels and just go with the roofs? Or it's all one package?
Well, it's my I understand two things. First of all, the way the ordinance is set up, it's for tonight, it's a complete package. Secondly, in order to get the 67.86% on what the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund does not pick up for the solar panels, we'd have to combine that. Is that correct? So what happens is you purchase there's the total purchase price of the solar panels, and then the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund will give you so much of that, a certain amount. Whatever is left that the Clean Energy Fund does not pick up, we get 67.86% reimbursement from the state. So to use round numbers, let's say for the sake of argument, the solar panels are $1 million. And for the sake of argument, and again, these are just using round numbers, the Connecticut Clean Energy Fund gives us $500,000. The state will give us this 67.86% reimbursement on that other $500,000, what's left. And it's my understanding that in order to do that, we have to wrap the project together. Is that correct? Did I get that? See, I listen.